Welcome to Manuscritos Publishing. Today we are interviewing one of our top best-selling authors, Jacqueline Torres. Welcome, Jacqueline.
Thank you for inviting me to take advantage of this opportunity to be interviewed by one of the top Latino publishing companies. It is an honor for me to be here.
Well, let me just begin by asking you, when did you first realize you wanted to be a writer?
That's a good question. Well, I could say that when my brain was in overload with information that the public needed to hear.
Beautiful. And about how long does it take you to write a book?
Let's see, that I would say probably a year and a half. 1 year to write it and 6 months to edit, proofread, redact, and then print. But that's after I have done the extensive research on the topic. Because most of the time, world events trigger the ideas, and as you contemplate it, you open your mind to direction and receive insights that lead you to write the book.
What is your work schedule like when you are writing a book?
Discipline. Lots of discipline. Yeah, you do. You have to date yourself, unplug all communications, and once you set that date, you cannot break it, no matter what is going on around you, unless it's an emergency. That's why I say it requires lots of discipline.
I understand. What would you say is one of your interesting writing quirks?
Let's see. I would say a well-lit room, aromatic candle, and my being in the moment, present in mind, spirit, and soul. I like the aroma because the aroma of a candle creates a positive energy and a welcoming environment for thoughts to flow.
Wonderful idea. I never thought of the candle. How do books get published?
It is a long process, particularly if you haven't identified a publishing company that meets your needs. It requires researching all of the publishers, the ones at the top, the middle, and the end. Top publishers will probably put your book on the shelf when you first publish it, but after that, it most likely will be put way in the back burner, particularly if it's not a, quote, hot item. I don't recommend self-publishing because that means that you have to take on all of the functions of a publisher on your own. You have to be the company, the editor, copywriter, proofreader, marketing, and so on.
Where do you get your information or ideas or even thoughts for your next book?
Well, the ideas for my books could come from various sources. It could be from my daily living, my job, people I meet, and issues that are dear to me. What is important to me is it important or should it be important to others? How do I bring this to the forefront? Does it have a sense of urgency? How will it help others? My message, in whichever way I choose to convey it, has to be intentional. It should have a holistic approach, which means it should address the personal, professional, and spiritual philosophy of a people. For instance, the lack of Latino literature in libraries.
Very true, very true. When did you write your first book and roughly about how old were you?
Do we have to?
That's what the people want to hear.
Thank you. So in 2005, that was when I wrote my first manuscript, and I was in my 40s. I did not have a book published at that time, just the manuscript. Then in 2007 was my second manuscript, but I did not publish the book either. It wasn't until like 2011 I was sought out to co-author 2 books. One of them was called Leadership, Helping Others to Succeed, and the other one was The Power of Change, Reinventing Yourself at Any Age. That's why I usually tell people, never underestimate the power of your gift, because your gift will find you. And that's probably another book that I might decide to write, The Power of Your Gift.
Wait.
And then in 2018, that was when I debuted my first book in Spanish, Dios tiene un plan. I wrote this book in Spanish because many of the places that I would go to and promote or sell my English language books, a lot of the folks that came to these events were Latinos, and they usually would ask me, why aren't you writing in Spanish, being a Latina? And then also when I did conferences, retreats, they saw the material that I would bring to them, that there was going to be, or there was a lot of interest. So therefore they went ahead and asked me to write in Spanish. and I chose to write this book in Spanish. And then in 2019, I debuted my second book entitled Violencia Doméstica y el Sistema Religioso. I chose to do that book as well because that is also one of the social justice issues that are dear to me. Working in the field, I thought that that would be a very good book to help people know how to deal with domestic violence, and particularly faith-based organizations, how to be able to deal with those issues if you have not just the victim, but also a perpetrator in the same company, organization, church. So that's one of the reasons why I also bought that. And then I have 3 or more waiting on deck. I will keep this other one a surprise, which is also going to be another book that will be published in 2021, also through this wonderful publishing company like Manuscritos Publishing.
All right, well, let me ask you, what do you like to do when you're not writing, working, thinking, jotting, taking notes, finding information? What do you like to do when you're not working?
I have to laugh because I don't think a writer is always writing and an author is always publishing. And there's nothing that you do as a writer or an author on a daily basis that does not inspire you. Any incident inspires you. But I do like to go to the beach, preferably alone, so that I don't have to talk to anyone. This way, I can quiet my spirit and be able to meditate in what I am reading. This allows my mind to create moments, writings, and pleasant memories. I like to bring an interesting book, such as self-development, inspirational, and spiritual.
What does your family think of your writing?
I believe, and this is because it has also been expressed through them, but I believe that they are impressed, proud, champions, and cheerleaders. They are my supporters, and they are my greatest audience and fans.
Beautiful. I know your family well. Great people. What was one of the most surprising things you learned in creating your books?
When I write, a lot of times I write, and I like to write from a baseline, right? And many times when I write, a lot of emotions are stirred up. And those emotions that are stirred up connect me to my childhood. Validation and appreciation from my mother and my siblings and my upbringing.
Amazing. How many books have you written and which one is your favorite?
I have written 4 books. That includes my newest release. They are all important and valuable to me. They all have their own personality and memory. I am proud of each and every one of them because it pulled out the abilities that I have to create. It not only displayed my experiences, qualities, and character traits, but it also humbles me. The one that I cherish is Dios tiene un plan, because it is a book that inspires hope in a world with leadership chaos in every realm of humanity and every platform you can imagine. So if I was to say which one, it would be Dios tiene un plan.
Dios tiene un plan. Great book. Read it cover to cover. Do you have any suggestions to help me become a better writer? If so, what are they?
To become a better writer, you must have passion for the cause or topic that you are addressing. You have to believe in what you are writing and take ownership of that belief. The only way you can talk with authority and property is if you are moved by passion and connected to your compassion. When you write, it should stir up in you some type of emotion. Otherwise, it's abstract. And if you are not moved, then most likely your audience won't be either. And I know that most of the books that I write, a lot of times the title comes first and then the content. Sometimes there's content, but there's no title. But in either way, some type of emotion has been stirred up about something, an event, or someone that moves you, I should say, to write about that topic or that title.
Interesting. Do you hear from your readers much? And what kind of things do they say?
My readers encourage me. They inspire me to write in Spanish, as I had mentioned before. Dios tiene un plan It is the first book that I write in Spanish, largely because the Latino community requested that I write in Spanish. And there's nothing wrong with an immediate cultural connection than when your own Latino people say you have to write material in Spanish. They also share with me how my writings move them, connect them, and make them reflect on self and others. How it also helps in their personal, professional, and spiritual daily living. I love the richness of my culture and language.
Do you like to create books for adults?
Well, although my books are largely read by adults, the younger audience seems to enjoy them just as much and also get encouraged by them. Occasionally, I'll get a few people suggesting topics for my next book, which is motivating for me and pushes me to really engage with them. And also, it gives me an opportunity to thank them in my book as an acknowledgement of them encouraging me to continue to write.
Let me ask you, what do you think makes a good story?
I would say being able to stay excited in a way that whether you start reading the beginning or the end of the book, you can't let the book go because it is so good.
As a child, what did you want to do when you grew up?
I don't know if as a child I clearly knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. Just being in a loving family, enjoying the special events with family, and playing with siblings was about all you thought when you were a child. I remember playing the part of a nurse with my cousins because the part that attracted me was being able to help. I also played the part of a mom because I enjoyed nurturing and taking care of my baby dolls. On one occasion, I remember my grandma telling me when I grew up, I was going to be a doctor. I believe I did grow up to be all of that and then some.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Jacqueline Torres, for giving Manuscritos Publishing the opportunity to interview you. It was a wonderful interview. It was our pleasure.
Thank you to Manuscritos Publishing as well for giving me this opportunity and for continuing to encourage me to write and also publishing books with Manuscritos Publishing. It's been an honor.